Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Us 3 podcast. We're in a different formation today. I'm sat over here. We'll get onto that in a bit, but it's a sad day, guys, because it's the last time we are filming an episode in this room.
I know, yeah.
In this kitchen.
We're moving out of Encliffe, so there's our location. I mean, we're moving out, so it doesn't really matter, but...
sad, isn't it? How are you feeling about it? Because I know I'm going to get grilled in this. How are you feeling about moving out?
I don't know.
Moving on.
It's sad to leave Encliffe because you guys literally won't be on the corner. But at the same time, you will be next door to me. So, you know...
No, I'm pleased.
I must admit, I am happy.
I knew you'd come up with something like that.
I'm pleased. If you're gonna want my honest opinion, I'm gonna go to people like, oh no, it's so sad.
Realistically,
leaving Encliffe, oh no, we're
but it is sad that
I'm not gonna be around the
Encliffe.
corner from you. Oh no, but seriously, it's a good thing. Like, come on, like,
You're going to be next door to me.
Do I regret my choices? Yes, but you have to stick with them, right?
Realistically, leaving this room compared to next year will hopefully be better.
The idea that I will be further than 5 minutes away from Tommy Gorman makes me very happy. Very pleased by that.
Makes me sad, Tommy.
So this will be the last episode as well for a while, because we are all going home for summer. These two are down south and I'm up north, so we're complete opposite ends to one another.
Not me and John.
However,
I was gonna say, keep your eyes peeled if you want to see,
the Josh and Johnny show. It's a running thing, and it's going to happen.
Exactly,
they just want rid of me.
Literally with half an hour from each other. So
I was gonna say,
all jokes aside, I will be seeing John.
we might even do 2 podcasts.
If you want a Josh and Johnny episode without Kai, please, because
you may as well get some content out.
What should we do? Should we do Josh and Johnny in a park?
Sounds very odd.
We said we are.
Sounds very odd.
We are going to meet up and
do a slide.
We are going to meet up and do a tour episode
on the swings for the whole thing. I'm all for that.
Just interview people as they go past.
A roundabout, just rapid.
Yeah.
But then attach a GoPro to the middle of it, and then
Scott,
there's something there.
How does this swing make you feel? And then
she's like,
leave me alone. Don't talk to strangers.
Yeah, mate.
And we have to leave because,
Police have arrested you and taken you away.
This went wrong very quickly.
So, we are going to be doing some tour episodes as well. We did mention it, didn't we? But we have also got something massive planned for the summer, which we can't really disclose yet. Like we were saying before, we hate it when people do this.
I hate it when YouTubers...
Day like that. It falls through, then what happens?
Well, I guess the good thing is we're not disclosing what it is. So
we can't be.
There's no expectation
here,
really.
It's big. If it comes off,
and there is the expectation.
If it comes off, it's massive.
Yeah, it's huge.
But yes.
So I hate it when YouTubers say like, I've got this really big thing, but I can't tell you. It's like, well,
that's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, but just if it happens. Hopefully
you'll see it. You'll just check the socials.
It's above average in size of importance. Well, that's a way to play it. Not to
gas it too much, but it's probably the biggest thing we've done.
Promise, over deliver.
Depends on a lot of things, though, doesn't it? It depends on where, who.
Actually, whom. Where and whom. So.
Anyway.
You didn't finish. Where, whom.
How? Why?
What?
Oh.
When?
No, we know what.
We know what. We don't necessarily know when.
We don't know when.
We know why.
Sometime over summer. Sometime over summer.
We do kind of know where.
We passed it, didn't we?
I don't know, did we?
No,
we on the way back from.
We passed it. It's unfortunate.
On the way back from Code. We've seen it. We'll see it tonight. We'll see it tonight when we go to the cinema. When we go to the cinema, we'll see it tonight.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Get in.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so
there you go.
Look forward to that. Put that in your diary. For some time in...
The next couple of months.
Probably August.
Okay, maybe August.
Probably August. But yes. On to the show. What were you going to say?
I was just saying, can't be start of August.
No,
I've got that Spurs charity event. Arsenal, so it can't be then.
Why?
It just can't be then, because I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay.
Who says you might not have another charity event to attend to?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Spoilers.
I've got a boner now.
Drop that one in there. You can always take that out if we don't.
I'm muting what you just said there.
What did you say?
He said,
you got a charity. I've got a boner now.
He said because it was for charity. He said as soon as I'm cutting that.
What's wrong with that? I'm excited by charity.
This could... Just think about it in a few years.
I'm glad I've got audio recording of this. I'm so happy.
There's nothing wrong with it.
If you like like kill someone I know or do something to me, like I will use this against you. Like all of these I can't wait. It's gonna be beautiful. Anyway, on with the show. I don't even.
Can we cut this bit? This bit I want to say.
I'll just mute it.
No, this bit is a really funny joke, but I don't want it on the podcast. But it went on a really funny link.
Just cut the bit before he said.
When you said in if you killed one of my friends, I was gonna go talking of dead friends.
Cut this bit then.
Yeah, that bit is out.
Okay.
Just a bone of it.
Cut the whole.
Just cut the last 2 minutes.
That's fine.
But that is a good link. Funny, but
It's a
can't be
great
put on the
link.
podcast.
Can't be put on because there will be mates who watch that will be like, because I'm trying to think of how to not deliver it, but I'm like, there are people who think like, why are you laughing at that?
Yeah.
Like people of his mates. So I'm like,
Yeah, we're not gonna.
no. I'm not just saying don't put that. Yeah.
Well, anyway, on to the
Good link.
Good link.
Ready? God's sake. Well, anyway, on to the show. This is the Get to Know Jonny Chick episode. We have done a Josh Bailey and we have done a Kai Sherlock.
It's the one you've been waiting for, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the climax.
Yeah.
Well, I'm honoured. Thank you. Thank you.
It's a very good.
Thank you.
It's a very good climax to have.
It's especially
guys,
for the
thank you.
final.
Yeah, exactly.
One of our
I'm
best
honoured.
climaxes.
I'm honoured it for it to be labelled as the final one here. So.
Yeah.
Well, I know
I'm
your
happy
friends
with
have
that.
been really looking forward to it.
Yeah. Shout out Ryan Chowdhury.
Shout out again.
For the last time here.
For the last time.
Shout out
Everything we did today. For the last time. But yes.
Right.
And the special features of Ryan Chowdhury.
Yeah.
We should have.
man.
And hearing his.
When us two do up, bring him on to into the park.
Oh, yes.
Get on the swings. We'll be right.
So Ryan, how does the swing make you feel?
We should have arranged for him to come down for this episode without
Do
playing John.
you know what? In my head, I was thinking, surely not like.
We should have done that.
And here it is.
We should have done that.
I'm sure Ryan wouldn't have made the journey on the way to Sheffield.
He would. No.
I don't know.
I think he would.
I think he would have.
See us.
Maybe.
He's got commitment.
Has he?
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
Ryan,
going to fix that for you. It's
the
only
door is
glass.
always open here for you, Ryan, if you want to come up.
Well, not
Say hello.
Well, I mean, for the next like 2 days or whatever, and then.
Yeah. So
Well,
next
by the
few
time
days,
you're
if you
watching this,
Yeah,
By the time
John's
you're
at
watching
home.
this, Ryan, don't come up.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
John is at home. So you see John.
But if you
Yeah.
want to spend time with me and Kai,
Yeah.
we can have
me
fun.
and Josh will be here.
You know, we can do stuff. Crazy golf. We can do. That'd be fun,
The
wouldn't it,
Josh,
Ryan?
the Josh and Kai show.
Doesn't go as well, mate.
No, it doesn't.
Sorry.
Anyway.
Anyway, on to it's the Jonny Chick episode. So, John, we're going to start with how we normally start with some of our guests.
You better make this funny, by the way.
Yeah,
Why do I have to make this funny?
pressure on you.
Pressure on, by the way. We did this specifically because you're quite funny.
Yeah,
so
we did, yeah.
Literally.
Oh my
And
God.
me and Kai were sitting there and like,
I said the compliment was
Pressure.
fucking hell.
we went, we'll do the Your Life's a Movie because John's quite quick.
Okay.
Not like,
Like that. Yeah,
Quite
yeah,
quick,
yeah.
but,
But,
Yeah, on the race course.
rapid. You said bolt.
But anyway, John, if your life was a movie,
Yeah.
how would it go? Talk for it.
I'm sort of realising how hard it is for guests when we have them on to really answer that question.
wait, no. What genre would it be? You gonna start with that?
Genre.
Don't you do that after?
Nah.
That's what you do after, don't you? You only go who would play you and what genre.
Well, what genre would it be? John?
It's a PG. It's
PG?
such a. Yeah, I think
Very
most,
Stuart
most,
Little
of it-
vibes.
most of it's school.
Very Stuart Little vibes.
Most of it's. Most of it's
Shout.
It is.
It's actually such a shout.
It would be. I don't know what genre it would be. I feel like you could choose what genre it would be. If I
can
give
see
you the
Disney
trailer,
animation. Disney animation.
if I give you the trailer, you can tell me what genre it is.
All right. Okay.
So
Yeah.
I'd say realistically, we're starting off little kid. I actually used to dance when I was younger.
Did you?
Yeah, I'd like when I was like 4 or
Forget
5.
about any other stuff. What? Why?
I did
Why?
dancing lessons when I was younger. When I was like
What
4 or
type
5.
of- tap
I don't know,
dance,
like generally just
ballerina?
like pop.
pop
I
dance
enjoyed
and
it anyway.
thing.
Did that for like a year.
What? Like
No, come on.
boogie, disco.
I actually couldn't remember. I genuinely like what, 3 or 4 years old. I
Interesting.
can't remember.
Interesting life choices. What's happening?
I like that.
This is weird.
That was very
Very
weird.
weird. Very quickly.
Very weird.
Very much Stuart Little too.
I think you then obviously
No,
progress.
three went weird. Quickly.
You
It went
then,
animated. It was very strange. Sorry.
You then progress
Very hard
into your school days, your school days of reception. Which I actually wanted to add this story because I know I've told this story to Ben, and I know he wanted to bring me up into this. So I'm going to tell this. This is part of the trailer, basically.
Right.
Reception John
Did you
Fon.
shit on the carpet?
So reception John Fon. Genuinely.
You shit on the carpet?
Genuinely.
No, you actually.
Genuinely, reception. This is unreal. This story, basically. So, I was in reception. I've like shat myself, Yeah, unreal limbs for myself, basically.
Right.
And then, great guess. So then...
Just ruined his whole trailer.
No.
He had this story lined up where
No. This was part of the trailer, so you're including this at the beginning to add that, a bit of... But, you want to watch more, obviously.
Here we have
basically, shat myself. Didn't, know what to do. I was like, shit. Literally, yeah. Ran around the classroom a bit. Teacher was like, someone shat themselves. So I don't know if they're actually allowed to do this or not, but they started checking people's, pants. I don't know if you can... Thinking that back, I think that's really dodgy.
Can they just go
hang on. So they got to you.
No, but they didn't go near me.
Very shitty.
I made a dash to the toilets, ASAP. Just sat in there, waiting for them to, stop. Went out. I didn't realise...
Still shitting your pants?
Yeah. Oh. And that evening, I went to a friend's house.
With shitting your pants?
Yeah.
Oh,
this is receptions. How old are you? 4?
Still.
Yeah, it's bad.
You animal.
And then I went
walking around school with shit in your pants all day.
So I went back to...
Surely when you're 4, you even know to get rid of shit in your pants, John. No one walks around with shit in their pants.
So then I went back to this friend's house. I think it was the first time I went to their house. Probably, I think it was the last.
Yeah.
Genuinely. They definitely probably won't be watching this because I'm not close to them.
When dogs got shit on their arse, start dragging it across the carpet.
Yeah, so basically I'm there and even their parents were like, something smells really off, and I'm like, oh, shit, the bed. Shit my pants. And then obviously I went home and I was like, look. Okay, so I'd spend the best part of probably about 2 p.m. to 7, a good 7-8 hours of just
shit in your pants.
So that's part of the trailer. So obviously you now want to watch more of that.
I feel like once life's at that point, everything's up, really, isn't it? That's the lowest point in life, right?
You'd think. So then obviously you'd think.
No Saturday with us.
Yeah, exactly. Talking about it, even in the worst situation. Went through school. Had a cracking time in school. Don't know if we're getting onto it. I don't know what we're talking about, to be honest. But in terms of the trailer, school. I don't know, how would you... A trailer of a 19-year-old who hasn't really done too much. It's quite boring. It's a shit trailer. COVID's obviously a big bit. Going through school, secondary school, tennis, football. Won my town's under 14 best tennis player at some point. Decent achievement. We'll take it. I've got to make this trailer somewhat interesting.
You have? You shit yourself? You shit yourself at tennis?
Tennis? No, I didn't. Wish I had. Put the opponent off a bit.
It's normally my job.
Exactly. You'd think. I feel like I've got IBS.
Do you?
You genuinely, yeah.
You said that the other day, didn't it?
Yeah, I do think I have. Then you probably progress through COVID to uni. To now. Another school thing I wanted to mention. Another school thing I wanted to mention that again I got told to bring up was basically waiting for the bus in year 7, second day in. I'd seen some people who I know got my bus, and I knew they got my bus and they were year above, and I was trying to act cool with the people I've just met for a day. I was like, oh yeah,
you don't do.
I was like, is the bus coming? I'm thinking these guys might recognise me from my first day of year 7. This year 8, fuck off, shoves me into the road. I'm just like, what the fuck? I just get shoved into the road in front of when there's 2 or 3 schools that crowd around a bus stop. Young chick has just been absolutely walloped into the middle of the road, and I'm just like, I had a stone in my hand and I had to get tweezer to be removed out.
Oh,
year 7 chick. Did I got shoved, pulled up, fell over into the bus lane. I was could have been killed. He could have been killed.
Can I just say, by the way, right? That moment there in young Jonathan Chick's life would have been horrid.
Yeah.
That thing there would have been
genuinely, now I could deal, but back then.
No, but even now though, if you're in a massive group of people and you get shoved into a road.
Even now, yeah, it's bad, but I could take it now.
No, but what I mean is that's there's awful, but then it's life moves on, and then those moments you can laugh at, but in the moment they're it's the worst thing in the world.
Genuinely.
But it's weird how things are worse then, but you just would you move on.
This is the thing, year 7, second day in, and I'm standing with people who are in my class who I'm going to be with the next 7-8 years of my life, and that happens.
Do they not bring it up or not?
No, I'm the only one who really remembers it.
Well, Johnny, could be worse. So, in my school, this guy on the first day of school got put in the bin and was known as bin boy for the rest of 7 years.
It could be worse.
The name didn't drop. I would still refer to him as bin boy.
To be fair, first day of school, actually in year 7, got pulled up to... My school was a really nice school, by the way. This is these are the first and only times I've experienced bullying, because it happened once. But pulled up to a fence, Hannah, what's your name? 7 years, year 7, fat John. Jonathan Chick, don't hurt me. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I was thinking secondary school.
You turned to Yoda there.
Yeah, I was thinking secondary school was wank, but no, it's quality. It was quality.
Leave me alone.
Yeah, it was. It was great school.
It's
great
certainly dominance in that year 7. That's
yeah, exactly. Year
And then
7.
you became the bully, John.
Year 7, I wasn't. It wasn't cool.
You've never been really cool, have you, John?
Not massively cool, but no. Anyone watching, who knows me, you can say if I'm cool or not.
Yeah, leave a comment.
I don't expect the answer to be yes, but
is John cool in the comments?
None of us are cool.
It's good not to be cool.
It's good. Cool people are boring.
It's
No
good not to be
offence,
cool.
but they're all boring.
Yeah.
No, you can have non-boring cool people. You can, non-boring cool people.
Cool people are normally dicks.
Some people,
That's the thing.
No, the majority of people I've met, there's some nice people now and then, but the majority of them are dicks.
The thing is, at school, I didn't like hate anyone at school or anything like that.
No, I didn't go.
I wasn't top of like your kind of food chain or whatever at school. Nowhere near, but like I still liked everyone. To be fair, there.
It's just hard to not like you, though, John.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
That's your opinion.
There's a reason why we're furthest apart here.
And you want to start Johnny and Josh show?
Exactly.
He's a bit of a dick.
It's true, yeah.
And I hate his dog.
Instagram doesn't lie. 74%
For the
of people
context,
like my dog.
I put a poll on who has a better dog, Johnny or Josh. Johnny won 75% to 25%.
Beautiful.
Basically, John.
Yes, mate.
Right, no, well, so John, I mean, when we were planning this podcast, we were sitting down.
This was a long while ago.
I remember you saying you actually don't know
like
too
a month
much
ago
about myself.
Well, that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
You're quite a private guy, Jonathan Chick.
Yeah.
Like, we were sitting down and really, we don't really know much about you.
Yeah.
We're like really close mates with you, but we don't know.
We are good friends.
Yeah,
don't worry.
But you don't really,
Yeah.
you don't really talk about like much. You don't really like yourself, and like you're very like Why is that, John?
I don't know. I think it's. I don't know. It's a weird one. I don't feel like not necessarily need to, but say like I know. Say for example, like obviously. You'd probably talk about, say, like, I don't know, your family's more, you were like, or some people didn't ever realise, like, I had a sister or whatever.
Yeah, you don't.
And that kind of thing, like, I haven't spoken about them too much. I don't know if it's a sense that I really don't need to, or it hasn't really come up in conversation too much. But, I don't know.
Have you always been like that? Like, have you always been...
It doesn't sound really, like, boring that there isn't actually too much to go on about.
Yeah.
But... apart from the fact, like, got a family, do this, do that. It's like...
got a dog.
I don't know, yeah, exactly. I kind of like letting other people speak and, listening to them.
You're quite happy to, like, be...
Listen.
Listen and, like, be, like, like, in the background a bit. Like, you know, you have your effects, like, in the background with, like, friends and stuff. And, like, you have laughs.
I wouldn't say background.
I'm not saying
No, not background. But as in, like, so, like, let's take, like, me, for an example, right? I'm now, like, centre of attention.
I'd say that's where the difference is. If it's about, say, I don't actually feel too awkward doing this now, but when, like, talking about, like, yourself in some, like, other situations, it's like, obviously, you are a more, I say more confident, but like, so they say loud,
confident, but you're
happy to just go.
You're just happy, like, just not to be like.
Yeah, exactly.
I
spoke about in school with me, like you said in school, like you were just quite happy to go around, like
exactly.
Like you with your friendship group and just kind of like be like the main, like one of the main people.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is down to also not that I do overthink a lot, and there is like a sort of worrying side which I've sort of dealt with better now, but like when I was young I just overthink literally everything. And I don't know whether that has something to do with it, where it's like if I ramble about myself, I'm like, are people really that interested? Like in that kind of thing, where it's like, say you're probably completely different, where it's like but no one judges you for saying it. Bit in my mind I'm like, are people just like, shut up, do you know what I mean?
Where do you think?
Wow, really cute.
We nearly interrupted one another.
Okay. Who wants to go first?
You do. No, you do.
Rock, paper, scissors? Okay.
Where do you think? It's really strange about the question I'm about to ask you. Where do you? This is a very serious question. So, because you obviously mentioned the overthinking there. Where do you think that comes from? Because I know it's obviously something that you could be just born with. But do you think you can trigger it down to one thing or anything individual?
I don't know what it is. It's when I feel like I do actually have like OCD. In a sense that when I was younger, I would have to do something like before I go to bed at night. Say my parents are out for a meal or something, and I'm like on my own being looked after by my grandparents or something. If I don't look out the window and like, I don't know, for example, like look across the road like 5 or something times, like my parents are going to die. Weird. And I haven't actually really openly spoken about it, like to really. I've mentioned it to you, I think, once, and I've spoken to like my parents about it and stuff, but like, I do genuinely do stuff where it's like, if I don't do this, and it sounds easy to say, like, still sometimes now, like, if I don't do something like that is going to happen.
Where does that, why? Like,
I don't know what it is. I think I haven't got a fucked up head because, like, mentally I'm actually all right.
Yeah.
But there is just something where it's like, yeah, that's always good. But there is something where it's like, I don't know where it comes from. It's a young age where it's like, if this doesn't happen or if I don't do this, like, say, I think it like must have been through like secondary school, and because it's like really small things, you carry on doing it. Say if it was something like, check what % my phone's on before I go to bed. Weird. I know it sounds weird, but just if you hear me out, say it's on like 20 what %, I'll just read it, go to bed. As simple as doing that, and everyone's woken up in the morning and everyone's alive, it's like, oh, sound.
How does that affect you as a person then? Like what would you say if you didn't do that? So if you didn't, like, does that just cause not like anxiety, worrying?
Surely you won't be able. You just lay there thinking I have to do it.
The thing is, I've done a couple of nights where I'm just like you almost shout to yourself, speak to yourself, where you're like, shut up, you're chatting bollocks. And when you don't do it, obviously, internally, kind of a bit of both. Nothing really happens. In group situations, say like if I'm with the flat or anyone else, anything like that, I don't do it. It's nothing like that. It's always before I go to bed because I'm just on my own. Whatever. Say if I'm like a sleeper or whatever, anything, don't do it. Yeah. If I'm staying over at someone's, whatever, don't do it. It's when I'm on my own, and it does affect me at the point where it's like it doesn't control me because it only really happens at night. But it does get to a point where, say, like you say, have you ever felt of not doing it? I don't do it. I'll lie there for like 10 minutes and I'll just go, realistically, if it's just one little thing, I'll do it. And then everything's fine. It's like, well, that's the thing I say to in my head, is it worth not looking at like your phone percentage for the sake of like your parents' life? And it's like, well,
is that properly in your head? Then you get proper like really like overthinking it. Really,
you used to like when I was like younger, and that wasn't.
Has it got better as you got older?
Yeah, it's got better because I do like just little like literally tiny things. When I was younger, like I'd say, I'd probably have to like stare out the window for like a minute or whatever, and like say my parents would literally just be out for a meal or in London or whatever. So there would be times where I get worried that they're just like not going to come back.
Yeah.
That I will sit there until like 12, 13-year-old until what X o'clock in like the morning. They weren't even that late, probably like 11, 12. When at that age you go to bed anyway.
Yeah.
It's like I just stayed up until that point just to make sure they got back.
What about then like, because you're obviously you're like, everyone always says that you're a really nice person, you're the nicest person, like we know. Does that sort of like affect that? So like with the fact that, say if you do something maybe just to hurt someone in the slightest, like even though the littlest things are probably as well. Are you like, if I'm not nice to that person, and you like really overthink it?
Yeah. I'm not nice to people for the sake of like
being nice
all the time. I get what.
If you like literally don't even like, if you're not nice, like the slightest thing.
That's what I wanted to sort of point out first. Like I am just nice because I just want to be nice. But then when I say do something, say like if I try and think of something, say something as a joke, or even like make some like stupid challenge in football, whatever, anything like that.
A wallet thrown at your face.
Yeah, exactly. Prime example. Like that sort of thing, I would feel shit about, and then in my head, I'm like, oh, they hate me. Unlucky, like in that kind of thing. But I don't know.
What goes on in your mind then? So something happened. Like what actually goes on? Like
don't know why, and it doesn't happen very often. But when it does, it's to be fair now since coming to union, probably end of like sixth form, I've brushed it off massively. But I guess it just comes into your mind, and you do think, oh, what if that person hates you? But like I say, now I'm at that point where it's like, obviously they don't. Like just like, shut up. Because that's the thing. I like to say I am just like a nice guy anyway, like in general. But then if on the one chance I say something which everyone finds funny, but to that person it's like, I probably shouldn't have said that. That's when I'm like,
do you become consumed by like when you worry and stuff? Because I know some people, when they start worrying or overthinking stuff, they can sort of worry about, kind of put it to like the back of their mind for now and kind of get on. But do you kind of like, does it kind of follow you around like with?
Depends. Not now. Not now. It doesn't. If like we're probably talking like max an hour, and then I'm like, oh, fuck it, I've forgotten about it. Usually because then say something else happens. Say I've said something to someone which they may not have seemed too happy about. Which in the same respect, I could have genuinely just been like a dick to them, like in the same point. But say then they do something where it's like they're nice to me. I'm like in my head, I'm like, right, well they don't hate you in that sense. And I don't want necessarily people to look at me differently. Say if I say something now, they're gonna be like, oh, he overthinks that. And that's one of the things I've been mentioning on this, that people might be like,
But even then, you're overthinking that.
yeah, kind of.
Even now, you're overthinking
It's the mindset. And I think at the start of uni, it was more like, because you are there to make friends, and no one really has any loyalties towards you or anything like that. You are then trying to make friends, and you do think about it more. But now I'm sort of.
Do you think that comes down to almost like the aspect of caring about what people think about you? Because me and Josh are very much in the boat that we really couldn't care less what people think about us.
I think I care a lot about what friends think of me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's not like it's just a random stranger.
Yes.
Not that arse, but I feel like we're friends. But can I just then answer both of them then? So then, do you? Oh no, I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh no.
No,
Sorry.
hang on. Keep talking, and I'll think what I was going to say.
For what Kai said, I don't have a problem with people like disliking me, like you say, if they're strangers. Like, I'll happily do like anything like random, ridiculous, say anything to some random person. Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of the times, like I'm trying to think, where was it? Like Turtle Bay, like talking to that waitress or whatever, or stuff like random shit like that. Like I'll happily talk to someone I don't know and them not care what I think. But say if it's like you say friends, you do kind of think, you do not worry about what they think about you. Yeah, exactly. And especially I think at the moment at uni, you do have to think like, as much as you've like known them for like 9 months and you've grown a massive bond, you do hear stories, especially now, like of friendship groups at uni just splitting up now. And it doesn't really affect them because they haven't known them in the grand scheme of things for that long. You are still trying to like keep it sort of like that nothing sort of bad happens in those relationships because no one really has. I mean, obviously, I like to think, to be fair, the group we built at uni is massively strong, massively strong. And I'm in that situation now where I am growing out of that sort of trying to impress people, where I am just sort of like, fuck it, say what you want.
Everyone knows who you are now.
Exactly. But say at the beginning of the year, or if I was in a group that wasn't as tight, and I'm thankful that I am, people don't really have many loyalties towards you to like stay as a friend. Say if like hypothetically our friendship group gets like, doesn't happen in November and it just sort of falls apart. It's like, it's 2 months. Like,
then it will be the end of the
exactly. Then it's the end of the podcast. Then it's the end of uni. But now we've built sort of a tight friendship. It doesn't hit me as much.
Do you worry then about things sort of falling apart? Then?
No.
Like, you don't worry, like, I know, because like some people I know can be like worried about things kind of like friendship groups like splitting up or like that sort of like idea. You're not worried about that then. That's that.
No, not a chance. I know. Well, sort of two different ways at uni. Not a chance because we're all so close. It's ridiculous. Like there's so many small groups inside the groups as well.
Yeah, it's
fantastic. Yeah, exactly. And obviously, like it's not just that. Obviously, Flatton we're living with next year as well. We're all close as well. But it's like I don't have any fear of that, anything like that breaking up. Second part for like friends at home, the question was probably like, if it's going to break up, it's going to break up in the gap between home and uni, and it hasn't happened. So there's in my head it wasn't going to happen. So it's like I've got no fear of anything like that happening.
You talk about impressing, like, and like not being asked about like impressing people. Has that got like better? As like, was that something you were worried about when you were younger? Or have you always just been like really not worried about kind of being like the fun, not impressing, and kind of just doing your own thing?
Yeah, I think it's more actually not trying not to make a bad impression. I was trying just to make a good impression, like in a sense where not that I want people to like me, but obviously it's a bonus if you have a friend. Yeah, exactly. It's. I think that is the case where it's just like I genuinely just want people to. I just want to get on with people. I love socialising with different people.
Go on.
So yeah, it's not the case of people worrying about people don't like me. It's more the case just getting on with people.
Are you always then thinking about kind of, so like with me, sometimes I don't know about yourself, but I know with me that I don't really think about, I'll do things I won't think about it.
Yeah.
And like impulsive decisions I'll make, like not drastic. I mean, like maybe things I'll say and stuff.
I wish I could be like that.
No, but that's the question. Are you always thinking about what you're going to say and how it will affect like other people? Like, so if I say to this person, that'll upset them or something like that.
If it's something that could potentially upset someone,
yes,
or even if it's like a little dig which realistically isn't going to, not necessarily needed, but isn't going to harm them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I may think about it, and I can't give you an example off the top of my head, but I do remember times where it's like, I do like say, if I think before saying something, I'm like, I am out with a crowd. Say if I'm in public, someone might hear it, anything like that. It's like, so I say it. I'll probably end up saying it 99%
And then
of the time.
apologise after.
And then do something after. But like, not everything, but something where it's like, oh, there could be a bit of balance. But I think I need to get into my head almost the fact, like, even if I said something fall out, like groups have fallouts like all the time, little fallouts all the time, but they always come back together anyway.
I think my mum was saying it, like, normally your weaknesses are like your overplayed strengths, right? So some things that you're really good at can sometimes obviously be weaknesses. So like the fact that maybe I don't think as much people think of me means that I say some things that can upset people.
Yeah.
I guess the fact, that I try and I don't try and make a good impression, but
like it's lovely though, isn't it? Like what you're saying.
Yeah,
like,
I always don't get
lovely.
that when people, like, obviously we do like not take the piss, but like
It's a lovely quality.
But that's why we do it, because we.
I don't get hurt
we say like your peopleism, but it's such a lovely quality to be like known as such a nice person. Everyone loves you. Is that just always been natural, or is that something you try really like? Is that something you have tried hard to do?
It's not anything I've tried hard to do, and I think that is genuinely because of my parents.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they would sort of bring me up. It wasn't strict at all. It's not like you must say this, you must do that. Nothing like that at all. But because they are such.
You must have had the window.
Exactly.
Janet and David Chick.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out to Janet and David Chick, because realistically, they brought me up mainly just to sort of not be like just manners, but just be just
nice
kind
person.
to people.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not a sense, but it's not also the fact that if people aren't kind to people, it's their parents' fault. But I'm just saying they've sort of given me those sort of norms, sort of values kind of thing, just to go about life. Exactly. But no one at uni that we know in our friendship group is not nice.
No, it's
just more the fact that maybe potentially I am more overly than the average, but I don't know. But that is genuinely just because of it's not the upbringing I've had. Like I say, it wasn't strict. It's just more like they are just nice, and it's just passed down. I think also the friendships I've had around me, like it's always the sort of surround yourself with the people you want, surround you. I just surrounded myself with similar people to myself, like you guys, and people back at home, and then it all sort of carries on through. Like if I couldn't think of a situation where I wouldn't be nice, but say if I'm with someone who genuinely like is like a prick, or I've done something towards me, then like I think there is a side to me people haven't seen or whatever, but it's like but like I can switch. I can switch people. I can switch at times.
Alright, John, calm down.
You walk into John's house and he just comes around with a cat on his lap and turns a chair.
Yeah, exactly. There's a side to me I say. No, like there may be the occasional time I switch, and potentially I switch not when people don't see, but like say I get angry or frustrated on my own, where I don't take it out on that person, and it's like so I don't have to lose like a falling out with them. Because when you actually think about the stuff that you potentially would fall out over, it's so petty to think about it yourself.
Well, because always when me and Josh have a squabble, Johnny's always like in between. I do feel bad for you because you're there like squabbles. Well, you're always there in between, and you're always like, I don't want to side with anyone.
But that's where I think like where I went like
it was something small.
If you like can cut it out when like there was squabble or whatever. I was pissed, but like going around saying like, oh, welcome back to the Us One podcast. That's trying to just sort of have less of like a shit situation, just kind of just bring it back down a bit, and just like not make it like aggy or like try and lose that friendship. It was just trying to just like realistically, and I think that's almost the thing. I don't confront people about it. I'll sort of think on my own, like realistically they've done this in the grand scheme of things, is it that bad? And I try and think like they probably have a reason for saying it, doing whatever. And I think when I was
confrontational, you're not a confrontational.
No, not at all. I can remember actually in I think the reason I've told so many people about this is because I'm not confrontational. It was in 6-a-side once. I think it was like our final game, and it was like, I think to be fair, if we are going to speak about it, it was like after my mate died. So like realistically in my head, I'm like, not like the best place, but anyway, I sort of just get angry at little things. I think some guy, the ball went off for like a corner, and he sort of like shoved me off the ball. Realistically, any situation, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Me, like, I'm not confrontational at all. I just tell him, do you want to fucking go? And I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, why have I said that? Why? I'm just told, and apparently it's like 6 foot whatever, gone through, and I've just gone to him, do you want to fucking go?
Can you imagine John saying that to you?
And then obviously he goes, I see you in the car park, and I'm like, shit.
I remember when didn't you stay at the tick side? You didn't get out the thing.
No, to be fair, because it was our last game, we took like a photo or whatever, and we were just there at the end. But I remember walking back to the car bar thinking, I think if this guy stand by my car, like I'm dead. Like really, like I'm not fighting anyone. But my mate Joe, he, I think he went up to him just like, he's not gonna fight you, mate. He's such a nice guy. Just leave him alone.
So when you get when you get annoyed, then do you sort of like? Cheers, Joe.
Cheers, Joe.
Do you sort of like just kind of let it go? So like if something does annoy you, do you kind of just just leave it? So it's not the same that maybe you don't get annoyed at things, but when you do get annoyed at things, you just
let it go. I think
and keep it to yourself.
There was actually a point I'd say.
Which I went on a rampage and
I
we say things.
I was going to say you see the nice thing. I go back. I've got dartboards with face of all.
He's got a tally chart. He's got a tally chart.
You can tell when you say something really nice, John.
Yeah.
He get you.
This is what I mean. I'm saying there is a switch. There is one thing. Which don't want to talk about it, but in my head it does.
You can tell when you talk about it, he sits there and he's like. It's just not saying he's like trying to laugh it off.
And that's the thing where I'm like, in my head that does make So like I think sometimes say like year maybe like 7 because I'm joining like a new school or whatever. You don't try and make excuses for people, but say if someone says something to me, I then almost span it. I don't do it at all anymore, but I span it back on myself. Where I'm like, well, it's your problem for getting sensitive over it.
You always try to see the good in people, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Someone would say like a comment to me or something. Realistically, they mean no harm by it. I may take offence by it.
Yeah.
Then like I'll go home, say year 7, I'll be like, oh, well, realistically, they didn't mean anything by it, so it's now my fault because I'm being sensitive over it. And then that almost hits on myself. Don't do it anymore, but that's what it was. And I don't know where that doesn't trigger any of like the people pleasing whatever there, because that's just a different side to like me. But that sort of overthinking thing does come from a lot of the sort of comments where I may take something too seriously.
You seem always conscious of basically. You just seem always conscious of like what you're doing and like what you're saying.
Very present.
Yeah.
That's which I mean is arguably a good thing when you.
No, it is a good thing. Like you never get lost in like. You never just get like so like lost in like emotion or something like that. You always seem like in control. No,
I am. No, I quite like that about myself. Like I'm in control of it all. But like this, I don't think about a lot of stuff I say. It's just say where something could potentially like be controversial. I say we're probably 2 different ends of the spectrum. You might say it. I'll be like, I don't know. We'll probably still say it, but I do go through a bit of a process in my head where I'm like, realistically, what effect will that have on someone?
Will you do that before or after?
Before.
Right.
Judge on their reaction. A lot of the time, I'll say something, it will get laughs. They find it fine, and I'm like, oh, what was the point of stressing it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think it's genuinely just been like, for like what, 19, well, obviously not 19 years, but like, it's just sort of learning just about the kind of get out of the room, just like, oh my god, what if I cry now? What are they gonna think? No, it's like
does that cause like a lot of stress and worries? Sort of
no, not at all. Genuinely, it would be either at night when I think a lot of people have their.
I am not saying. Do you get in your own head at night?
At night massively.
That's quite common though, isn't it?
It's not. I was gonna say it's not like a thing where I'm like. Shit, I'm depressed. I'm mentally bad. It's nothing like that. It's more just like realistically, especially coming to uni or whatever. Actually, maybe less so at uni because you are up later with more people. Obviously, when you're at home, say your parents go to bed at this time. Exactly, But when you eventually do go to bed at uni or whatever, and it's whatever o'clock in the morning, like majority of people still stay up, go on their phone, whatever. Me included. I'll stay up for like an hour and a bit, whatever minimum. You do get inside your own head, but I think that is common for a lot of people. And because obviously this is probably like the first time I've said it, you'd be probably surprised as to how many people actually do it. I 99% of people probably do it. Like people get up in their own head massively.
What sort of things do you think about then? Is it just kind of like
I don't
whole of things?
I don't know what it is. I don't know. I am actually there are quite good sides to me in my head where I actually do back myself quite a bit. Where in my head I can give myself confidence. I don't necessarily put myself down. I don't put myself down at all in my head. It's more just overthinking or whatever. Like say, like something in my head just may bring something up like 3 years ago. Why didn't you do that? it doesn't fucking matter. Do you know what I mean? And I'm there like,
Yeah.
oh, realistically, like, year 11. Why didn't I do that? Like, whatever. Like,
What?
I don't know. Just something like just random. Like, say, like, why didn't you revise for that? You got better in that. Like, shit like that.
Are you
Doesn't
harsh
matter.
on yourself? Like, do you as I know personally, I have very high standards.
Yeah.
I'm very self-critical.
It's
But are you kind of like very much you've got this standard yourself, you don't reach that and do that.
Yeah, it's more. It's not necessarily. I think it's like you say, a good way of being harsh on yourself, because it's not harsh on myself to the fact where if I don't do something, I will. I probably can't say like self-harm, whatever, but like
no,
I can't say that, but like will hurt myself. It's not like that. It's more like, right, because I like you have these standards I want to set. Say actually take this for example. Say a podcast, like we've done this is our 21st one or whatever. There will be podcasts that we all felt like we've done. Thank you. We all felt like we've done better on and worse on, whatever. Say if I've come out of one thinking I've done badly, I'll be like, well, because I've got these standards I want to set and I want to hit for myself. I'm like, well, what can I do better with that next time? I say the voice in my head doesn't put me down at all. It's more like, can we do it next time? Say for like the exams we just sat. Parents probably don't want to hear this actually. Probably started revising later than I should have done. But in my head now, I'm like, if I have to resit over the summer, if I'm not doing anything over September, I will go for it. So that's the sort of.
Wait, sure, an exam. You're gonna pass tomorrow.
Fuck my life, yeah. I'll be done by that age.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with my mum before, and she was like, "You done work today?" I was like, "Yeah, I actually did quite a bit today." She's like, "Oh, great."
Johnny, I'll let you know in
I
the
haven't told
comments.
you about the last couple of weeks I've been doing, but yeah, today.
Johnny will let you know in the comments how well he did on that exam. Wait, John.
Yeah, I'll tell you in like a month or so, because that's when the results will come out.
Yeah.
If people still
it's
want to
come
come
out,
back to
it's come
this
out
video.
now.
Oh, how I thought I've done. Oh, okay, yeah, go on.
Yeah.
that's fine.
So, should we
I think
move on
I
to the-
think it's probably best. We've talked.
I'm more than happy to talk about it.
Yeah, I think it's probably a good thing to it's something it's a moment in your life, a massive moment in your life that is a standout moment.
And it's
Yeah.
not something that really happens that often.
No,
No,
it's
no,
a
no.
unique circumstance.
Yeah.
So if you want to explain that.
Yeah, so I don't want to go into the incident actually that happened.
that's fine.
Because I'm still not actually. I wasn't there. Still not too sure what happened, and even if it was clear, it's not relevant as to what happened. But one of my best mates died in end of year 12, summer of year 12, and yeah, I guess like you say, it's not. The only other death I've had is like my granddad, but that's like the thing at the time when we were talking in school is like that's expected. Like it is expected,
Sudden, isn't it?
Exactly. Like he's 80, whatever. It's like old age dementia standard. But when it's like someone of that age, so he would have been 17 at the time, you don't expect it to come at all. He had no like illnesses, no nothing like that. So it's sort of just out of the blue kind of thing. So nothing like you saw it coming. It was, I think the difference, and this isn't the difference why it was hard, I guess, for myself was I wasn't in the country when it happened. So I was on holiday and I got a Snapchat from, we were basically in like a group that we're all in, basically saying he's been like, this has happened. Oh no, it was a call the night before basically saying he's gone missing. And it was like, there'd been a couple of things before. So it was like, oh, really, if a kid goes missing, like you're going to find him, whatever. And then I think it developed, to be fair, my memory's blurred of it, but it developed into like, he's been rushed to hospital, air ambulance had to come and get him. I could be getting these details wrong, to be fair, so don't take him, take him with a pinch of salt, but like air ambulance had to get him, got taken to hospital. That's sort of the case. And when you have air ambulance, you're like, but I'm not in the country, so I can't go to my friends, talk to them about it. It's all.
Were you on holiday with your family?
Yeah, so I'm on holiday with my family. So it's like, it was, I think, split up from school on probably a Friday, I think, or Thursday, and then like Saturday or Sunday flew out. So this is straight after school. So it happened pretty after we'd all split up from school.
Yeah. What was that kind of then? So when you found out, like, is your memory blurred of that? Is it clear?
To be fair, I think because it all happened in like the space of like 5-6 days to a week. There were some days where it's basically he's in hospital. This is what's happening. So that night I didn't lose sleep over it because we didn't know what the thing was.
How serious?
Yeah, exactly. I'm a couple of hours ahead anyway because like I can't remember where I was.
Yeah.
So like realistically, if news comes out at like 11, it's 1 a.m. I'm probably asleep. So I wake up. I can't remember really hearing much for the next day or so. And then it was just like a wave of like, the doctors have said he's in like critical condition. Doctors have said, and then it was like he's stable. But because there was so many, it wasn't like rumors, but it was more like one person would say critical, one person would then say like the next day stable.
No one really knew.
It's like I think there was obviously some truth to it, but I don't get how you go critical to stable, then back to critical again. There's got to be some sort of, but it was a horrible situation because when things were looking all right and it was like, oh, he was stable, he was fine. I'd go out for a meal with my family, get a message, and it's like, oh, it's critical. Like the doctor said, it really doesn't look
was that
good.
up and down that yo-yo like emotion?
It was awful because you're on holiday, you want to try and enjoy yourself. You don't want to ruin like your family's holiday because this is like the only time you get to go away together. Like they've all been working and at school all year. Like you don't want to make a downer for them about it. But it was genuinely, it was awful. Like sort of not really having any control of it, partly not being in the country to not go visit a friend. Obviously this wasn't in COVID, so you can meet up with anyone could go into the hospital. I can't remember if any mates went into the hospital or not. I feel like one might have done, but I genuinely couldn't tell you who. I just, out of my memory, I feel like someone went in there and it was like, he's not great. And then I think over the next like 2 or so days, it was then just like, I got a call on an evening. So I don't think Joe will mind me saying this. I'll mention to him afterwards. But he basically called me because I'll message him afterwards. Yeah, but he basically like he phoned me. Basically, we were meant to be going to Reading that summer, which we still went and did, which I was happy about because a lot of the people we went with were in that group, and it was like it'd be, you know, it wouldn't have been like the best, you know, the worst excuse to be like, oh, I don't want to go anymore. And he phoned me, and I was thinking every phone call I got, I was like,
it's not great.
Here we go. Picked up in my head. I was like, hello, whatever. He's like, so what snacks are we going to take to Reading? Because I'm really not too sure. I was like, fucking hell, whatever. Sounding for a call for like 10 minutes or whatever, just talking about Reading, whatever. Hung up. It was the Love Island final. Watched that with like my sister downstairs. Got another call from him. I'm thinking, I can remember, I think it's sort of picking up just like, I think it's about snacks again. And I heard him sort of tearing up on the phone. I was like, and he was like, no, go get your parents. I was like, well, they're asleep. Realistically, just tell me now. And he was like, yeah, he's obviously passed away.
But what was that? What was that like?
It was
that phone call.
It was. Oh, it's gonna sound shit to say. I didn't.
No, but
not saw it coming. But because he's been putting critical for like a day or two in my head, and I've spoken to this to other people. I'm like, if he was going to be in a condition where he's not the same. He's potentially wheelchair.
Just doesn't
can't speak. I don't know what it is. Like he's completely different.
It's a shell.
It's not the person he was before. So in my head, it was already a shit situation anyway. Like in my head, I wasn't getting the friend that I had before. Yeah. That may have been a possibility, but I don't know if that was just my way of thinking at the time. Trying to almost have like the worst situation in mind, so it's not too bad when it happens. And obviously, if positive news does come, then you're really good with it. When I heard it on the phone, it was awful. Like, can't.
Did you start crying? Like,
not immediately because I was more because I heard
shock, isn't it? I think.
Well, no, just because the only reason I asked that is I know like when I got the news that my dad passed away, I know that I didn't like cry. Like you just go, I just went about normally for you.
It wasn't.
You said that, didn't you? You said you just went about normal.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Because I know because like you seen like the movies and stuff like that. Like as soon when they get devastating news, everyone starts like breaking down.
Yeah.
But I know like it was kind of like I just sat on my bed for like. I just sat there. Like,
obviously,
I
think similar ones they were both expected. Well, not expected, but you know what I mean.
But it was like out of the blue.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't cry on the phone. Well, not like I remember. But then he was like, my Joe, like being a like great mate he is. He was like, go get your parents. Like, just make sure someone's with you because obviously he can't come to me. I'm like abroad. So I was like, well, I told him about it as well. Like, I know some people kept it from their parents.
You should wake them up then.
I've been properly open with them. Yeah, I don't know what time it would have been. It's not exactly like they'd have been mad for waking them up. Do you know what I mean? Went in and burst into tears in front of them. Which, you know, I'm not too, like, ashamed to say. And then
of course
basically that, like, whole evening was just, like, mad because you don't expect it. Even, like, from the smallest things of, like, what people were going to do on social media. Like, There's obviously like a close group with him at school. Everyone in the year knew him. Some people in the year below as well. Then, because like in our area, all the schools are so connected. Like if you ask like people from all the other schools, they'll know the name. They may even be closer than me with him. when you like you think like what's like the reaction of people in your head, you're thinking like what like I know now, and his teacher doesn't know. Like they still think that he's alive. Do you know what I mean? It's just like it was ridiculous. It was so weird. And that evening, I can't remember what time I got to sleep, but I just remember calling or being on the phone to like mates and stuff. Like they call me just like, didn't know if you knew or whatever, and like I had to call someone as well, which is awful. Horrible.
As friends, then, because when you go through something like that together, you sort of form like a bond, don't you?
Well, either that or it can make or break you, can't it? I
don't know if it breaks you, but like, I know, like you. So what happened? Like, did your friends? Did you? I mean, it seems like you came like together and you really became a lot closer.
To be fair, as a sixth form, we were only like 80, 90 people in a year. We were one of the smallest they'd had. They basically changed like the entry criteria to get into sixth form. So they made it harder. So like less people actually got in. So we were already quite a small sixth form. It was the majority of people who were in year 7 to 11 as well. So we all knew each other anyway. And he was there from year 7 as well. So when like I got back, saw like my mate straight away, and the school, from what I've said before, like I got pushed into a road or whatever, the school were genuinely like phenomenal with it. Like obviously there's always stuff that they could do better, but they like set up stuff in the summer. Like teachers came out their way for free to come into the summer, gave us like food and stuff, spoke to us about it. They brought in a counsellor and they basically sent out an email to I think it was anyone who can sign up to these things. Like, when do you want to do it? We all agreed we'd go on like one day that majority of us can make. We went in, there was a counsellor there, and then we just went off and went to like the local park next to us, like just sat there for hours and hours. It's genuinely a day that sticks out for me massively.
Like, were they just
they talked to stuff
and stuff? Was it?
It was the first counselling session bit. I didn't really like the way they approached it. The woman who did it, doubt she's watching. Because it was
different strokes for different folks. Different things work for different people.
Yeah, but it brought us closer. We did a lot much more in the summer, and as a group, like I say,
were you there for each other? Did you step up?
Yeah, massively. And I don't think I can quite describe. Say, because this is obviously summer of year 12, so you're going through year 13. It's a stressful year with A levels. Obviously, didn't sit them in the end. Coming back on that first day was a joke because everyone knew about it. Not joking, a funny joke, but it was just weird, so weird. Like everyone obviously knew about it. There were people who I felt so bad for because they weren't close with him to sort of know right at that second. Like some people in the year like found out through social media, and obviously some people like it probably wasn't their duty to be told or whatever. But obviously, like people like put up Instagram posts the next day to give people time. I remember speaking to someone in school and they were like, "Oh yeah, I found out like while I was on holiday or whatever." And I was thinking, like, imagine just like finding that out, like someone in your year who you may not have been close to, just died or whatever. It's ridiculous.
How was that? Someone like as in like for you and the personally as well that summer, like, and we'll go into the school year that year, but was that awful? Was that like? Because I know when my dad, it was awful. At the same time, I had a really good summer because like I had my friends stepped up. But what was it like? Was it very up and down? Were there some very dark moments, good moments?
It was up and down. So I'm trying to remember. Obviously, got back off holiday. Saw my mates like the next days. Had that thing in school with the counselling thing, and then I think the next like couple of days after that, I went to Leeds. Like the football season had started. And at that point, I know you obviously got like F1 and Spurs and stuff. At that point when the season had started, because it was only like a couple, I think when I got back off holiday, it was only like a couple of days until the season started. That was massive. Like watching Leeds and football and stuff. I actually went to a Leeds game like a couple of weeks after, and coming back from the Leeds game, I got told like the date of the funeral, and I'd have completely respected it if his parents were like, we just want close family friends. I doubt they'll be watching, but if they are, genuinely, the funeral they put on was unbelievable. They basically said anyone and anyone can come. Everybody can come. They basically, I don't know if they got the school to send out an email about it as well. And when I say I've never seen a church that full in my life, like we got there early. It's almost like you get to like bars early now because you know it's going to be full. Like we got there early in the seats, got a decent fucking front row seat. Fuck my life. But like you get there like A good point. So weird seeing like teachers were sat at the back.
Teachers can,
which I was like, oh shit, it was nice of them to come and whatever, but seeing like your teachers in that state being really upset was like, you just don't see them like that. It was so weird. But they, to be fair to them, they kept themselves behind like the screen in the doors to the church because they didn't want to take the place of anyone. But all the benches were full, and then obviously imagine like a church, you got like the steps up, you got where the guy speaks or the woman speaks, and then behind that, I don't know how many, like must have been 50, 60 people just stood behind them as well. It was unbelievable.
How does that make you feel?
It was ridiculous, but it was amazing to be a part of it. It was really, really sad, really sad. But it was also just great to look back on. Like they'd got like friends. I didn't do it, but I say I wasn't asked. But like people had like sent in images and stuff. And actually, no. As a group, we sent in images, and they basically put them on like a PowerPoint slide or whatever. Had that rolling across with like music that he liked and stuff. They basically, even like the school, he basically was doing media coursework, and the school got like his unfinished coursework and put that on there in the funeral and stuff. And it was just really nice, like as a day for the school and everyone like that, which probably made coming back first day of term less weird because you've seen teachers cry and stuff like that. And so before you go, the teachers then went back to his house, and there was a thing afterwards. The teacher in his house like helping making like teas, coffee, food for all the family and stuff like that. It was just, that's why I think when I say I really miss school, like as a year group with all the teachers, we were so close. We were so close.
Like, how important was kind of everyone being there for each other, from like your friends, maybe people you didn't know, like the teachers? Like, how important was it?
It was massively. Like I could put on my story, and I know, like say before, I'd see people putting on their story about, like, not even like deaths, but something sad, and I think, oh, you attention seeker little. But sometimes when you put on, exactly. But sometimes say, especially in like the early September, October, November, December time, put on like my story something, not to get responses, just because I was genuinely like, sometimes I'd feel shit, just like a venting thing. Obviously, like we all do it, and the amount of replies you get, just like always here if you did it, all that stuff, like as cringe as it sounds, it's unreal, like what it means. And the school, again, like they basically offered like the counselling out to anyone, and I didn't want it at first because at the point you don't want to be labelled as in my head I'm like in my head I'm like,
with the counselling.
Yeah, it did, because at first I was like, don't really want it, I can deal with it realistically. I am really open with my parents, so I'll tell them like how I feel or stuff. Like I broke down in front of them on that first night. I know some people kept it away from their parents, which is how you deal with it. They were really important with it. They probably did as much as they could, to be fair. There's only so much you can do. They didn't know him too well either. Exactly. They were there for me massively.
If you were upset, would you just go to them and just tell them everything?
Yeah, like before school, yes. During school, not as much. Like I'd have nights where I'd just be like awful, and then at that point I didn't like tell my mum or something. I just went in the next day. I was like, can I like just sign up to his counselling thing? It was a different woman to the first one.
What was the deciding point with that? Like, why did you like choose?
I think it was after one night. I don't know if it was after doing football or something. Or I just got in, and because I think those football matches, it was nothing to do with the football. Got in, say like 10, half 10. Some of the games like kicked off at half 10. Like you get in like late, parents have gone to bed, that stuff, and you are on your own. And this is like a month after it's happened, and you are just thinking like, gee, I just know, you just not have a breakdown, but just like have a cry, whatever. At that point, there was that one night where it was like, I need to do something about it because I can't. It's affecting like sleep, and as much as I think
losing sleep. And everything.
You lose a bit of sleep, and I think obviously you don't want to work as hard in the school next day, do homework, and it's year 13. It's probably one of the most important years you can go through, if not the most important. I don't know how to say it, but like I was thinking more of myself, like if I can sort it, I have to get through these exams, obviously at the same point, like mocks after Christmas, whatever. The school were good in the fact that they put on our forms like extenuating circumstances. I don't know if they did it for everyone, I can't remember, but they definitely did it for a lot of people, basically saying, look, this has happened. Because when you think of extenuating circumstances, like it is one of them. Yeah. So it did affect me, but it's mad how I still love like potentially not year 13 more than 12, but they were both fantastic years. Well, that's what it just brings people closer.
That's what I was going to ask you. You said it brought your friends closer.
Yeah.
Did you notice anything specifically change from before it all happened to afterwards? Because obviously you mentioned you were close with them and you obviously enjoyed year 13 because you became together, and like Reading Fest, like you said.
Yeah.
Do you think it had any other effect on the friendship group other than the closeness of it, or is it just like almost a bit more unity? Yeah, that extra bond almost over.
Yeah, definitely majority closeness. I can't think of. To be fair, if at any point you add more people into the friendship group, like one of the groups I'm really close with now, we met at Reading. I say met at Reading for like the first time. They'd known of him and stuff like that. And at that point, when I'm like down at Reading, I've properly been with these people for like a couple of days, and they are like have an arm around you, we're talking about it. Like it's just like everyone knows exactly what you're going through because everyone in that area knew about it. Like it was in, I think I saw something in the newspaper, like my grandparents cut it out of a newspaper because they were talking about how much money was raised for charity because they were doing like a charity sort of fundraising thing with it, and his face was in the newspaper and they cut it out, so a lot of people knew about it.
Did that like help? Did that sort of help things that kind of everyone understood, and like all like your close friends, and you knew that person who you were sitting next to in school and stuff understood your pain?
Yeah, massively. I think it was key not to underrate the people who maybe weren't as close with him. To be fair, I started getting closer into like 10, 11. That was when I first had like we were in like the same sciences, same like PE, English, that kind of thing. And then sixth form, we're in the same form. So like year 12, we were really close. But it's key not to underestimate how it would feel to maybe, like I say, not be as close with him, but still be
friends with him
and know him. I think it was our first sociology lesson back, and the teacher, I don't know if I can say her name or whatever, but she genuinely like the loveliest teacher we've had, and if people are watching, they could agree with it massively. She like sat us down in like the library beforehand, like called us all there or whatever, and was like, how do you want to go about it? Like, do you want his seat to be taken? Do you want it to be no one to be sat there? And it's those sort of things for the people who maybe weren't as close to him but sat near him. And you look over in like, especially the first couple of weeks, and there's like an empty seat there. You're just like,
how was that feeling then? Like, so you know, like going out as friendship group, he wasn't there in class, like he wasn't there in the sixth one, wasn't there. What was that like the first couple of weeks going back to school? Because I'm assuming in the summer it's less prominent, but at school it's like really in the face. Like, what was that like?
It's really weird, like you say, over summer, because you don't always see everyone over summer. You don't see them every day, and if you do, it's probably potentially like 2-3 times or whatever. Back at school, it was ridiculously weird, like really weird. Just like you say, little things not being in a seat, not like if you walk into the common room, he might be there. Do you want to walk up to Tesco? He's not there, because we have like another group at the school near us as well. Obviously not there with us. It's something you just kind of just had to suck up because it's not going to get much better. But again, at that point, you can't stress the closest of the friendships that were made at that school. And everyone, like you said before, like, did they understand? Like they do. Like if you were down, like people aren't like, oh, he's in a fucking mood again. But like it's
explainable.
Exactly explainable. I think another one of the key things were parties, in a sense, where there was one party that basically was one of the girls that we had in year 12, same party in year 13. He was there for one of them, not there for one. And it's all the ones where it's like, it's just like the thought that he should be here.
Yeah.
It's not that you didn't enjoy yourself at school, because like I say, honestly couldn't have had a better time at school. Couldn't have had a better time outside of it with all these parties or whatever. But you do just think, probably should be here. It's just one of those things where you just support each other. And there were other friends who like got upset at those sort of stuff, and you have to comfort them as well when you're not upset. And it's just the fact of dealing with it.
Did things kind of, as time went on, did things like get better, or did it take a while for things really to get better? Did things kind of like maybe get worse? So like personally for you,
because obviously people struggle at different paces, don't they?
Yeah,
like
they do.
Friends,
they do.
But in terms of yourself, I think that's what
personally,
was it like once the counselling things started getting easier, or
I think I stopped the counselling before Christmas. I think I had it from like October, and it was like once a week for like an hour. So that wasn't a long time. I think in terms of when it got better, I'm trying to pinpoint moments. I think the weird thing is
gradual.
Time. Yeah, it is gradual. I think grad. Yeah, that's very Birdsky. Very Birdsky. I think after Christmas it probably got better. And then obviously you forget, like, actually sort of forgot then. From September, it's crazy how time moves. But September obviously is the first day back. March, we're then kicked out of school because of COVID. it's then so weird as to how like that works. Obviously, I didn't have a full year at school that year. I still have like dips. Like even now, like I still have dips sometimes. So it's never gone. It just gradually did get better. So after Christmas time, but then also in your head, you're not thinking, I wouldn't have spent Christmas Day with him, but you do think of his family who are spending, and then it's obviously his birthdays, which was recently, and then the anniversary, which is then coming up. So it will be 2 years soon. It was a year ago, obviously, last July. And then it's those days where it's like, it's nice because people go to the, what do you call it? Like cemetery, graveyard.
Cemetery.
And you do see people there. Like I walked down by myself, I think for one of them, either his birthday or the 1 year thing. And you see people there and it's like, it is nice. I've seen his family there as well, which was, nice to see him as well. And we did actually, one thing we did was, and I think it shows how come together we were, a group of us who majority formed in year 13 during, I think, was it for the 1 year? Was it on July? It might have been on the 1 year, I'm not too sure. We did a walk from his sort of gravestone bit to like the middle of town past our school. So we did a hell of a walk, hours and hours walking, and we raised money for charity that way. Can't quite remember how much we raised. I might be able to actually get figure up of it. It was definitely, must have been over like 200. I don't know if it hit 500 or 200, I'm not too sure. We raised like money for charity, and doing that as a group, like it was a group of people that had mainly been mixed for that long. It just shows how like together everyone was with it. But in terms of personal like development with it, I'd say it doesn't. I was speaking to my mum about it actually over like Christmas and Easter. Like she does ask like, does it come into your mind now? Like, do you still think about it now? And it's like, it doesn't always come in, but it's always there.
Again,
it's just how sort of sad you sort of feel with it.
Life sort of goes on, doesn't it? Like
exactly.
I sort of see it as like sort of like a cloud, right? So like, life can go on and, you go each day and you have great days, like, you enjoy days, but it's just always sitting there like at the back of your mind, isn't it?
It's
just a cloud, like it's always there. Like you could be happy, and you're having a great time, but it's just. I know that's me personally.
No, exactly. It is, and it was the little things. I think I don't want to give away names or anything, just in case. But it was when I was working. Basically, I worked in a school, worked in like a kitchen for like a boarding school, and the name of that house was like the same name as his name.
I remember you saying about the chant,
and then the chant as well. Obviously, like
that wasn't done purposely, was it?
No, sorry, no, not at all. It was sorry. That way you can keep this bit. That was a different school, so it was a different school I was working at. It was a boarding school, and it was spelled differently. It wasn't even pronounced the same, but it was just like little reminders.
Did you ever struggle with? Because I know, like the thing is, like I think death obviously when it happens at different ages. So we were saying about. Like when someone when a granddad dies, it's sort of like expected.
Yeah, exactly.
It's this thing, when my dad died, it's like he's 52. Obviously he shouldn't die, but it's a premature. It is, but it's on road. But the fact that obviously he was a mate, he was 17. Did you struggle with the fact that he was so young? Like someone shouldn't like pass away that young, because I know some people would struggle with that.
Yeah.
But did you personally or not?
I think it was more the fact that for him, he hasn't really been able to live his life. And he was actually thinking, like, year 12, he's worked his arse off. For A-levels, he hasn't got. GCSEs, he's worked a ridiculous amount that he didn't need. Obviously, hindsight, you tell him, look, don't work.
Yeah.
That's obviously not the case. But do you know what I mean? You just think about how much of his... Obviously, I wasn't him, but, like, life he wasted doing homework, that kind of thing. You just think like he didn't get to live that potential. But I guess what I will say about him is he was the most liked person at school. Like you can tell by how many people turned up to his funeral, and one of the funniest, like genuinely the most bubbly people that like I've ever met. It's not a case of bubbly because he was never down. He genuinely just lit up a room massively, and that's not even just to be cringy, whatever. But he genuinely, if you ask anyone, he genuinely did. And even the people who like he wasn't as close to, you still saw turn up to the funeral, and you then think, well, it shows how much of an impact he had on them. So yeah.
Did you miss that? that like that presence, that sense.
Yeah,
like,
no, you do, and you kind of have
notice,
to. Yeah, because say think of it now. Say if someone's not in school because they're ill or something, or someone's not at a group thing that we do now. Say like a big personality that you sort of miss. It's like, you can tell they're not here. You then have to like adapt in a sense. You do with like a group and think, well, not necessarily how's it going to work because it's always going to work, but say
dynamic, isn't it?
Exactly.
Dynamic,
say like you get like a comment from someone here and there, it doesn't come. It's like it is just weird. But yeah, I think it's more this just the fact you feel sorry for him that he didn't obviously get to live his life, but I am then grateful for the fact that I know him from like properly from like year 10, 11, 12.
Grateful for the time he had.
Yeah, exactly. And and I think in year 12 we just like grew massively. Like we were actually in like a proper like friendship group together. We were obviously in like classes. I think year 10 and 11 it was one of those where it was like your friends when you're in school because you are in school with them, but never really out of school. But then after that, like sixth form, it was all the time. But the thing is, that's the also thing with Reading. Like we were meant to share a tent with him at Reading and stuff. So going there was a bit like hard, obviously. But like the people I was with, I can't thank anyone who's like watching enough who was sort of supported everyone and myself through it. It was genuinely just like the support that we had was ridiculous.
Did he like going like then? Did he change you in any way? Like in what ways? Because I know some of like, did he change you? And I know like I think with me, it did, like I can say like straight away. I feel like. For me, yeah. But what about yourself? Did it like change you in any way? Or you sort of still the same person? Like,
I think I'm trying to remember sort of what I was like more year 12. I don't know whether it's just growing up or whatever. I have become more confident, but I can't tell if that's just because of that or just growing up in general. But I do feel like I've become more confident, whether that's as a
no. But I mean, like, did that like in any way?
No, it's just I'm not. See, no, not really. It was just almost a thing that you kind of just had to get over and then kind of move on. I think because it was at a time where school is still like, right, you've got to work, got to keep with the A levels. They obviously understood, they were completely supportive with it. And in the early months, they were like...
Life moves on to the next.
Yeah, exactly, that's the thing. Exactly, that's the thing. And they were obviously like, look, we understand if you can't do this, can't do that.
Which is good.
Exactly. The school were fantastic with it. The school were unbelievable with it. And even in like February, whatever, if you were like having off thing, they'd be like, it's fine. You can probably take a day off, a couple of days off because of it. And I know people did. So in that sense, I don't think it changed me massively. I don't think it changed. It probably helped me It probably helped me deal with death better the next time because... Well, fucking hell, I hope it's not fucking soon, but... I think it was just because obviously, like I say, my granddad before was you expect it. This wasn't expected. But I think it probably makes you feel like all grief are probably different. Like this is a 70-year-old kid who's a mate, comparing it to someone who's old, then you compare it to potentially someone who's going to be like a family friend or something like that. They're all different, but just because of the connections you have with them and stuff like that. Exactly. So in the same way that like with your dad as well, it's obviously someone who's gone, but it's a completely different relationship and everyone deals with it in different ways.
Did you struggle then with the fact that kind of life like just kept going? Like I know something like you sometimes want life, like you want a moment, like you want life to stop, like you want
a moment to breathe, isn't it?
You want a moment to breathe, you want to sit there, you just want life to stop, but it just doesn't, and it keeps going on. Like, did you struggle with the fact that it just went on, like life went on, and you were still because it's like you're here, but everything else is over here, like you're still there,
and you've got to get
exactly. I kind of wish the summer had lasted longer, but I distracted myself a lot in the fact that it didn't, like I say, I wouldn't have seen him in the summer. I did feel like I was sort of lagging behind a bit with it, sort of early, not September because you're acclimatizing to it, but then October, November, you're getting to the point where it's like, I just wish it would sort of stop for a bit and you can have a bit of a break.
Or just carry on like it was.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why I think potentially I can always look back, October half term, December holidays, Christmas holidays, when you're meant to be working for the mocks, I didn't work as much just because you are still thinking about it and you do wish you kind of put it on pause and almost take a bit of like a gap year almost with the same year group but just sort of come back a year later.
Everyone just stop for a year.
Yeah, exactly. Or even have that year 13 doing work which is a bit of a trouble. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But no, I do kind of think that, but I think you can't say you dealt with it well or whatever, it's just how you deal with it. But I think it could have been a lot worse in a sense with how I dealt with it. I could have carried on being upset for a lot longer.
I think I was talking to one of my mates who was there for me, and he was like, and they said they really tried to step up for me, and I know each other's mates. I think it says a lot with the fact that you sat there and said, my mate died, but I still loved year 13. It's still a great time. I know you I shouldn't say that, but I think it hit me the other day. It's kind of like, it just shows how much kind of like all your mates were there for each other, and how your family was there for you, and how everyone kind of stepped up. The fact that you can still say you had a really good time.
Exactly. And obviously, if I could say sixth form wouldn't change it for the world, the one thing would be he was there. But year 12 obviously was there. It was fantastic. Year 13, I only have positive memories of as well because of how well school did, like you say, how close everyone was. But I don't think, obviously, you don't realise a lot of schools are disbanded into different groups and they're not as close. I don't know if I'm sort of the only one here talking from it, but a close sixth form like that, it was ridiculous how like well it was. Obviously, there are people who weren't friends with him, didn't really know him, weren't affected by it, carrying on as they were. That's them. That's that. But for the majority of the year, because he was quite a popular, well-known guy, it affected everyone. It just brought everyone quite close together, especially for like the early months. Obviously, for the people who weren't mates with him, then when it gets past Christmas, it's like, well, if you didn't spend time with him during the day anyway, it doesn't really affect massively. But yeah, that impact of friendship, sort of the family, was ridiculous. How much it was, important to getting through year 13, because I massively enjoyed school. Really, really enjoyed it.
It's a nice place to leave it.
Nice.
Really enjoyed it.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed.
I enjoy speaking.
Good.
About my life. Thank
to be honest, me and Josh have learned. I don't know about you two, but I've learned a lot more about you, John.
I've learned a lot more about you, and life sucks. And life will go through periods of it sucking, but as long as you have family.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
You will get through things. Unfortunately, some people maybe don't have as close friends.
No. We are very lucky in that sense that we do have close friends.
I think like you got some people go through death of like friends, family, parents, or whatever, and they don't have close friends or family. And I think it's a massive underappreciation how amazing family and friends are. I think once you go through something like that, you have an appreciation of friends and family. It's just completely different.
Yeah, no, you do.
It's like you go for something like that, and when people step up for you, and like just having that, I think you appreciate.
Yeah, even like people who say like, I don't know, even like my grandparents give me that photo of him in the newspaper, stuff like that. Like realistically, it's not. I say not their business. Obviously, I'm their grandchild, but they didn't know him. Nothing like that, and. Even with like family like events, like my cousins came over, who I don't see that often because we don't live that near each other. They came over. Obviously, it was like quite a few people in the house and stuff. And this was it was just before Reading, so it's still relatively fresh. Yeah. And I said to my mum, look, I'm not feeling it, because this is obviously the first time they've seen me since it happened. So they were like, how are you feeling? Trying to be nice, obviously, but it does sort of hit you. It's a bit like, but like they understand, like I sort of just took like an hour just in my room myself, and they understood perfectly why. Like people are a lot like more understanding than you probably think. People can be nice. They are, exactly. People are nice. My family are nice. My friends are nice. But even just like say random people I'd met at, I'd sat on my own. It was. I think it was like 2 days after the KSI album came out. Whatever, I don't know what it was, but
that's how he judges.
I went down to the cemetery.
I was so sad. I didn't care about the KSI.
No. This was a year after, and then the KSI album came out, and I went down to the cemetery graveyard bit, and I think I was sat there on my own. I might have been playing KSI, I'm not sure. But then this like woman came over, and she was sort of just like, "Oh, sorry for your loss." Whatever. I was like, "Oh." She was just walking through. I think it is a public walkthrough anyway, so I don't know if she was visiting anyone, I can't remember. But someone who I haven't met before, had no relation with him at all, was so nice. And she like sat down next to me and spoke to me for like 10 minutes about, almost a bit like this, but a bit shortened. Obviously, because he's so young, it's a bit more interesting. Yeah, exactly. With our own little podcast in a group. Yeah, exactly. But no, it's just people are ridiculously nice. Obviously, some people are.
Obviously, some people are.
Well, David, if you're watching this, I love you. Is that a weird thing to say?
Oh, my dad?
Yeah,
go on.
I thought
it was like your mate from home. Janet, David, I love you as well.
We love you, mate.
And all my friends from back home, thank you very much. Love you too.
Yeah. Well, that's a lovely place to leave it, isn't it? Well,
nice, yeah. Thank you very much for watching.
This has been the Get to Know Jonny Chick episode. Thank you so much for joining. And goodbye to Encliffe.
Encliffe.
This is the last time we're here. Well, next time, actually, no, not next time, because next time we'll be on tour somewhere.
Next time we do like a proper
we'll do at least one.
Next time we do like a proper podcast.
We'll have a set.
Bigger and better.
We'll have a set.
Bigger and better.
This big things coming, as things people would say. But yes, thank you all for joining. Make sure you like and subscribe. And thank you for joining us for another episode of the podcast. And goodbye from Encliffe.